Welcome back to ArcturianPhilosophy. What's really funny is I was going to make the video and then suddenly Crayon said to me, Krista, why don't you get something to prop the camera up on like that? And instead of having to hold the thing, and then you can also sit down at the same time. Um, it's been a little bit because of what I'm going to be talking about, battle fatigue. It's a little bit difficult sometimes for me to stand up in one place for a long time after all the different things that I've gone through and all things I'm having to heal myself from. So, the topic of battle fatigue. First, this gets mentioned in ET 101, but remember, a lot of things in ET 101 are also kind of gray propaganda. But you can really tell pretty easily between the two. What it mentions in there is to place your focus on the birthing process of the new things in this new kind of energy. But you see, if you're having stuff thrown at you constantly, if you order jewelry and it ends up being cursed or like to kill you or something, and you have to figure out how to reprogram it, you didn't even know that a crystal could be programmed. And let's say that you're freezing cold in your apartment here because if you don't leave the windows open, you never know if a carbon monoxide is going to get sprayed at you and you might suffocate. If you're sleeping and don't wake up in time, that's happened a few times, your entire complex is taken over by a bunch of reptilians and Yael, all doing either this, not really the Yael, like not really enslaved telepaths or Yael like this, but mostly just stupid reptilians. And the Arcturians, Ashtar Command, even give them a message saying, if your own mothers can't say, I love you, we love you. Even though you're trying to completely murder us and assassinate our ground person, which we simply are not going to allow. Like, no. But one thing, okay, so what they told me there is something in here that's good. And actually self-help techniques. And then after this, we're going to read some. I'm a pretty good automatic writer, and I asked them, well, will you help me with this? And they actually gave me some interesting information. So first, though, with ET 101, if you don't happen to have ET 101, self-help techniques. The greatest self-help technique you can practice is the art of laughing. This is what I'm talking about, where, okay, the Yael, or the little, like, Yoda gray thing, says, shoot you. What do you want? Shoot you. And, like, breaks your torchlighter to make it look like a gun or whatever. Isn't that funny? Yeah, that's how I reacted. So the greatest self-help technique you can practice is the art of laughing. This is not to say that everything that is coming down is entirely funny. No, it's not. Yeah, not everything is funny, but for things that you can make funny, make them funny. For instance, you may find it difficult at first to get a chuckle out of a rapidly disappearing ozone layer. This was written in the 90s, people. Now you walk outside and it is hotter than hell because there is no ozone layer. Like, literally. It was as if it happened over a week span of me being imprisoned. 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later I come out and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god. What happened to the sky? It's like the sky burned up. You might find it difficult at first to get a chuckle out of a rapidly disappearing ozone layer and the petrochemicals you are drinking with every glass of water. Well, not me. And to be perfectly honest, we don't find the Federal Reserve very amusing. However, getting depressed is not the answer. This is the most critical moment of change in this planet's history, and your assistance in that change is vital. Humor has the effect of raising your vibratory level, and you won't believe how high it has got to go to get through this one. Going catatonic over the seriousness of the global situation will not only not help the globe, but it will also effectively knock you out of the ball game. Our advice: keep laughing. Like where they told me at one point where I was sitting on the balcony because everything was being sprayed with carbon monoxide in here, trying to kill me, and I'm sitting on the balcony because of that, with injection marks from stupid greys trying to abduct me and things, and I get told, look, just sit back in the incubator here, and you're front row in Alien versus Predator, and I was like, I said, what? Look, guys, I don't enjoy the concept of being front row and watching Alien versus Predator, and that movie just sucked. By the way, I remember Alien versus Predator. That movie sucked. So they said, well, you signed up for it. Okay, front row in Alien versus Predator. Yeah. Another practice you will find invaluable is owning up to your own creative capacity. And that is, I've been thinking to this constantly. I'm thinking, well, you know what? I'm technically creating all the people murdering me. So, how do I create something else that would crowd all of that out so that people wouldn't be able to be murdering me? Your reality is formed by your attention. See exactly what I'm saying. I'm thinking, how am I law of attracting this to myself, is what I'm thinking. And is entirely your choice. If you end up as a second-rate actor in a B movie instead of a star on the star that is about to be born. I like how they said that, if you're going to be a star on the star, like the Earth, that is about to be born. It is also advisable to keep in mind that you are here on assignment. Please don't get sidetracked into thinking you have cancer just because you have visited the ward. Remember who you are and what you are doing. Okay, this is italics. Remember who you are and what you are doing, and keep your eyes on the stars. I think I'll leave some of ET 101 there, but that last thing, the remember who you are. Okay, I had to find out within before we go to what I ended up getting for channeling this. I had to figure out within like less than 2 weeks that there was a reason that I loved watching Russian spy movies. Yeah, and all the Russian hackers are going to think that's really funny now. I realized, oh my god, there was a reason I loved that movie Hannah, about and all of the movies that are about women, not the not the Angelina Jolie types, but women who convincingly are spies and can fight for themselves, actually physically defend themselves, save their own lives in all kinds of strange, dire situations. I used to really like movies like that, but had absolutely no interest in aliens or extraterrestrials. So we were trying to protect me that way by getting me to turn away from ETs. But I always used to wonder to myself, why is it that I like those? I like the psychological thrillers, and then when people would say, what movie should we rent for you? Oh, any like psychological thriller or like a Russian spy movie. I would actually say Russian spy movie. And now I know why do I like Russian spy movies or German whatever European bizarre spy movie. Because I was one the entire time and had no idea. The ultimate spy is one that has no idea that they have a cover at all, because then you can't blow your cover if you don't even know that you have one. So that is really funny. See, that's taking advice from here, the ET 101 concept of curing battle fatigue. But see, sometimes if you are in the middle of getting yourself like having things thrown at you. Some astral person the other day dropped a rainbow-colored string on me, and I was like, oh, another one of these. And see, at first that used to burn if I would touch those things or it would harm me somehow. But now I was just like, whatever. Picked it up with my hand, not even like with a cloth or anything, and flushed it down the toilet. And then someone, as I walk by, as people do that, they will try to cause you to have respiratory problems, and I will actually walk by people and say, oh, why are you coughing for no reason? Because, see, they're not human. And if they're going to play BS with me, it's like, what? Or I've said stuff like, that doesn't work anymore, right? But they don't really get it. Either way, the idea is to just keep on attempting to do things to you until you somehow manage to create the opening for your death. That's what their aim is, and so our counter aim is, well, simply spreading the light. But Cryon's talked about this, how certain soul groups end up kind of dying off, so they can be reborn as newer soul groups, like the Rainbow Children and the Golden Children, or things that people have talked about that haven't been born yet. So I'll read from this. Also, this is meant for indigos, because I said guys specifically for indigos, because for us, depending on our mood and how much the harp is messing with us, we can react very ragefully to an injustice, to all kinds of things. And so I'll explain. I'm told, look, that stuff's totally normal. We need that to bust down the doors. But then after you've bust down the doors, then we have to do something else with it. So, let's see. First, I think this is going to be slightly repetitive. Okay, rage, as you found, is necessary to create destruction. And you are here to destroy a system of slavery. This is something they were personally telling me, not actually what I was going to read, but I'm going to read that next. So, rage, as you found, is necessary to create destruction. And also, that was what you needed to be able to, like, quote, hex somebody. And I thought, I don't know if I could do that, but when you're an indigo and you realize you get ragefully angry over whatever thing's going on, you realize, wait, isn't that usable energy? And they said, yes, the rage is necessary to destroy the system. And you are here to destroy a system of slavery. You are on a slave planet, and reacting with rage has been typical of our front-line warriors. You are one of few of our indigos to not destroy yourself due to your rage at the system. We now pledge a promise to you. You have asked us to attempt to remove your temper. While we cannot exactly do this, you have to. What we can do is begin activating new neural circuitry and within your diamond grids for preparation of the new crystalline structure you must achieve to survive. Your magnetic aura must transmute in order to survive, and we want you focused on this every day. This will lift your temper naturally and transmute the reality around you. Use every resource, every moment for light downloads, and do not worry, because we will pave the way for you. Now, they say, just in general with battle fatigue. Hello. We know you understand you are a decent automatic writer. We will channel a transmission to you now about battle fatigue. Battle fatigue is termed in the outdated ET 101, refers to the exhaustion of undergoing both physical and spiritual duress. The title is fairly self-explanatory. Firstly, rage is normal. You all, particularly addressing all surviving ground indigos, have suddenly awoken not only to the fullness and grandeur of your true being, but also to the total horror that you have literally incarnated upon a slave planet with no apparent way out. However, you are the way out. Now, in the military and biological or chemical intercepts, so we're talking serious stuff here, like what I was involved with, in military, biological, or chemical intercepts, our starseeds often encounter the most very literal battle fatigue after however many possession attempts and flat-out assassination attempts. But while healing your broken arm with a sock, twig, and quartz cluster, or after allowing us to set you back on track after getting confused into thinking you have cancer again, stop for a moment. Feel the rage and anger at your foes as it consumes you, and at this point to our front line, you must do one of two things. The first thing you can do, which is the more advanced and far more scary thing to do, they also explain if this is something that you're supposed to do, we're going to tell you and help you to do it to make sure you don't screw anything up. First, you can use the rage to manifest destruction. Remember, you, the Indigo children, are here for this very purpose. Without your rage and zeal, we would not have pierced through the veil, finally shining light into your dimension. Your fire and fury is needed to bring this terrible reality of slavery crashing down on itself. If it is prudent for you to use your rage to manifest destruction, we will instruct you. This must be done with extreme caution, as this creates an opening for the dark forces. Basically, it creates openings for the different dark entities to attempt to harm you, do things to you, because you're essentially doing something that would be considered black, quote, magic, or whatever. That's something that they do with a law of attraction going on there. That creates a minor opening for them to be able to harm you back. So this is stuff they say, look, stay away from, even though it is possible. And if you're supposed to do it, we'll tell you what to do. Now, you will know if you are supposed to create a type of destruction to save the planet, and we will leave this topic for now. Now, second, the second thing you could do with the rage, regardless of if you end up creating the 7 plagues upon the entities trying to harm you, the second option is much preferred to the first. While this might be difficult, as you roll over in a forest chased by reptilians attempting to tone heal your broken leg after yet another hex, stop and be still. Feel your anger and cursing rise up within you and breathe out deeply. Allow the anger to encompass you and expand. See it as a vicious black smoke, if you like. And it expands beyond your body. But then a light pierces through this dark veil. If you like, you could think of this as like the famous song, Let It Be, where there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. Think to yourself, our indigo warriors, you asked to incarnate to fight, exactly as like the angels in your prophecies of the book of Revelation, and now see, you are here. You were determined to walk this density as warriors of change. And while you have effectively determined that it sucks, this is exactly why you are here. To raise the density back to what things are like back home. And after that, it seemed like they didn't really want to talk after that. They didn't say, we now end this transmission, because it seems like they wanted to talk to me, like, just privately. Because, I mean, guys, it's a little bit difficult when even if you're just being psychically attacked all the time, eventually that manifests into physical. But it's really another thing if things have already gotten into third, I believe here, third density, and people are actually doing stuff like that. Weird super soldiers are actually moving in underneath where you live because, oh, you stopped World War III. So I'm asking them, guys, what should I say? One thing that I've noticed there's somebody else who's talked about the Ashtar Command a lot, and I am going to get a hold of this person if it's the last thing I do, I swear. I said swear to God. Because, yes, Northern California, we need help over here. We need help over here. But so, one thing I know me, and I know that other person would probably say the same thing, pot. Pot helps a lot with the stress, because you see it's extremely stressful, and so most of us lose our desire to smoke any kind of cigarette because we can feel how toxic it is. So instead, it's more common to either go to marijuana, which I actually don't really have any of, or my favorite, actually, just vaporizing oil, because then that way, there we go, vaporizing oil. Because that way, you're not actually exposing any kind of any reaction, any products of a combustion reaction. So burning stuff and putting it in your lungs, that's never good for you, regardless if it's pot. Pot's just less bad if you burn it and put it in your lungs. It's just less bad, So vaporizing stuff, if you can manage to do it, best thing. Now I can't lie. See, since I am from the 80s indigos, I'm later 80s, 87 indigo, but I'm still officially one of those 80s indigos. And what happened with us, I'm willing to bet most of the Ashtar Command or Arcturians that will be watching this would be between the ages, I'm going to guess 16 to 21. But if you're that age and you're watching this, you don't know what we went through. Oh my God, we were so confused. Had the Matrix come out, right? We were your age. We were 14-year-olds and everything, 15, 16-year-olds when the Matrix was coming out, and we are transfixed by it thinking, what? Something's up with that. But we're so freaking confused by the entire thing. None of us were born really telepathic. A handful of people are born with extrasensory abilities, but everyone thinks they're crazy because all the rest of us didn't have it, because we were born with it inactive to protect ourselves from being just snatched out of nowhere and taken to some government compound and never seen again. Something crazy. we were basically so confused, those of us from the 80s, born in the 80s, that we just became drug addicts. We had no idea what to do. And remember, this is the war on drugs, so law of attraction, you make a war on drugs, then you get more drugs, right? So that was what happened to us. That's where I mentioned heroin addict. Yep, that was what happened to me. And this is also why I started to want to talk about the battle fatigue, because see, that was what they were trying to get me to do yesterday. They were trying to push me to inject something, and it was really bad. It was really, really bad. This is something fortunately, the people who are watching this, they wouldn't be random drug addicts or random ex-junkies watching this. So no, it's not like where you have a, quote, craving for something. You can feel that it's not even you thinking. You can feel, this is not me thinking, this is not me thinking. And I had to sit there and stare and say aloud, this is not me thinking, this is not me thinking, this is not me thinking, this is not me thinking. Because of the way their different frequency technology is so advanced in different ways, but you can reinforce it that way. So what happened was all of us from the 80s, we were so freaking confused that we thought, okay, we're just going to get ourselves zonked out on as many drugs as we can, so we don't even have to be conscious to even see what's going on in this world or reality or whatever the heck it is, because we don't even know what's going on. So a lot of us got killed off through that. I almost did. And that is seriously, not just, oh, I used a drug and drugs kill people. No, I mean seriously, I gave myself deep vein thrombosis, all kinds of things, conditions that are deadly. So I almost killed myself off in the middle of all that, and by some sort of miracle of God, I kept surviving through it until I could get myself under control. But still, also, because I had been born so smart, and I didn't know about the law of attraction, obviously, as a little kid, I would pray to God every single night, God, please make me stupid like everybody else, so I can be like everybody else. God, please make me stupid so I can be like everybody else. I was born a little genius. And that is literal from scores on tests. And I was so different, so literally non-human appearing, that I would pray, God, please make me stupid so that I can be like everybody else. And when I became completely, utterly brain dead from Lyme disease, I actually thought to myself, I thought, you know what, God, if that was you, I didn't actually think you were going to do that, but I can't get mad at you because, I did ask. That was what I thought. And then when I realized, oh, well, 10 years of trying to will myself to become stupid, well, seems like now in this new energy, it doesn't really take much time to will myself to become intelligent again, does it? Even though I'm still lacking quite a bit in capacity to what I used to be like. What I used to be like? Oh, I was a little whiz kid. But when when you're 80s indigo, you've gone through all this. You didn't have the advantage of growing up knowing universal truths. Your parents, didn't know anything about it, fought with each other, probably divorced, all of the typical baggage for kids growing up in the 90s, and the strangest looking outfits you can imagine from the 90s. Oh my god. I think the 80s were less weird looking than the 90s. Seriously. Guys, seriously. And, we were in a complete confusion. My generation, a complete confusion throughout the later 90s and 2000, after 9/11, all of us, we were all high school or junior high aged around 9/11. So we all knew where we were when that happened. We all remembered it. That was part of why realizing, oh wait, there's going to be another 9/11 that's going to happen, and I have the ability to stop it. Really? Okay, let's go for it. And they told me we watched, we watched 9/11 happen, and our agreement was that we could only interfere with nuclear war, so we let it through, is what they said, because with something nuclear, that's really, really taking things quite a step up further than even with what you'd think of with the World Trade Center, like with nuclear. It's like there's no comparison, is what they were trying to convey to me. And same thing with my grandfather, trying to convey to me, this is nuclear. You have to stop this. This is nuclear. You weren't alive, but this is nuclear. He could not express it to me somehow. Well, because he kept saying you weren't alive. You don't understand. This is nuclear. And he didn't know how to say it other than that. And the effects of radiation and those kinds of things. So all of us 80s people, we end up being so mad at the world that we end up killing ourselves in the process. And a handful of us think we're also from the 70s a little bit too. But now, after what I had to go through with Lyme disease and such, I think I might also make some blogs on this, because I know I can't be the only light worker in this position, especially an 80s indigo light worker. They wanted to get us hooked on drugs, guys. That was the game. The game was get all of the star seeds hooked on drugs. That way, even if we can't get them on a mental leash, we got them on a physical leash. So right now, technically, I'm on a physical morphine leash, and I'm pretty darn well aware of that, but they also know that if they suddenly took it, like telekinetically took it or whatever, that I've prepared so many times mentally for that type of scenario, and Cryon has said to me repeatedly, imagine you woke up on a desert island with nothing, and you just had to lie there shaking or something, and imagine knowing that the universe did this for a reason, and that you are going to be okay, and that will make you survive. So they've actually been leaving my morphine because they know that if they take it away, that will exponentially increase my power. And that's also what I keep getting told is, look, Krista, get off that stuff as fast as you can. And see, that was also why they were trying to push me to inject something. Because and also, well, the morphine that I have, it's not injectable, and if any of you guys ever tried to inject morphine, which this is talking to the 80s people who would have been in the gotten lost in the drug thing, any of the morphine brands are very hard to inject, and me specifically, the reason I got the prescription as morphine is because I feel like I'm dying if I inject morphine. Even hospital-grade pharmaceutical morphine, it feels like I'm dying, like I'm allergic to it or something. So it works out. I can't mess around with it. And so what I've ended up doing is, in addition to kind of keeping myself at a manageable level of morphine, dropping it in half. But it seemed like when I said I dropped it in half, people got kind of mad about that, and that was why they tried to mess around with me yesterday, which I think they really regretted that. I think they really, really, really regretted doing that now. So, I mean, I can say, even though as light workers, we're not supposed to be consuming really drugs, cannabis is a drug, THC, CBD, and CBN, and everything else in there, all the cannabinoids in there, they are technically things that affect your body, something you ingest that affects how you think, a psychoactive substance. So the point is, though, that not everything can be bad all the time. So, like, one way that I've also been keeping myself calm, because I don't have the money to constantly stay stoned, I'll also use Klonopin. But, see, if you're one of these people that really likes getting benzoed out or whatever, don't do this. Because I've had years and years and years of practice of having access to benzodiazepines without ever becoming addicted to them. And it's just because I don't really like them for their addictive property. I like them for the, oh, I'm not stressed out property. And all I have to do is just count. I have to keep track of, oh, did I take it this day? Did I take it that day? Did I take it that day? And then, add up, okay, how long's it been? Okay, now I'm going to stop for X amount of days and, count it off like that. Because I can actually do it that way. But what I would prefer, if I had the money to really actually do it, I would simply keep myself stoned most of the time to handle this. Though, that's not what we should be doing. We're not supposed to be constantly keeping ourselves stoned, but I can't, but seriously, for people that are Ashtar Command who are being constantly attacked right now, nobody can get blamed for wanting to stay constantly stoned. I mean, if you're being constantly attacked and you don't know if you're gonna wake up tomorrow in the same bed that you that you went to sleep in, or the same body, or the same spirit, or whatever, using something that is something that teaches allowing, using a plant that teaches allowing, like cannabis, to say, oh, it's okay to be okay with that. That is really something rather desirable if you are experiencing all of these different types of warfare, and it sucks, so it makes a bit of sense to want to say, well, I would prefer to, use something that is, allowing, like cannabis. And now, actually, I'm going to see if any of this is still left in here, which it's not, so that's a shame. Well, guys, I guess there was something still in there. And I will agree with a statement that someone made, which is that cannabis is one of the most healing plants on the planet. I mean, particularly, like I said, for me, someone who has, for indigos, a lot of us indigos who came from the 80s ended up getting strung out on opiates or coke. If it's opiates, and you can get yourself onto pills somehow, that's what you want to do. Like, I'll give this example. Before all of this Agenda 21 stuff really went down in, early April, maybe the first week of April 7th maybe, something like that, I ran into this guy in San Francisco. He was homeless, and he was half white, half Mexican, but he looked white. And he told me, my dad is in the FBI. And what was so funny is, see, the reason I met this guy is I was walking down the Powell BART station, okay? Powell BART station. And I just saw a kid there, looked like the younger 20s, holding a sign with his head down, just like this. And I remembered the only time I ever held up a sign like that, I had been so ashamed to be holding a sign that I had my head down like that, and he looked clean cut, and I thought something's strange here. You know, you clearly live outside, but you're different. And I don't want to say caliber, but you're different. What's up with you? And so I talked to this guy, and I was suddenly told, ask him, do you know what an Arcturian is? And oh hey, reptilian healer guy, where I got told, but when Ashtar told me, would you like to have a hybrid child? This is the same day. So the first day I saw you, reptilian healer guy, as I was going home, this is what happened. And so I run into this kid and I ask him, do you know what an Arcturian is? Because I suddenly get told, ask him, do you know what an Arcturian is? And he turned to me with this look and said, yeah, the reptilians, they told me they're taking over Texas. And I said, oh my God. And I said, how do you know about this? And he said, they came to me. He explained to me he had been born in San Francisco, but then raised in Texas. And he had been psychically attacked, where everything would turn kind of reptilian, like scales, he said, and that he would hear demonic sounding voices saying either join us or get out. And so he ran away to San Francisco, and he was shooting morphine. And because he was shooting morphine, he kept on giving himself MRSA, or methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus. And I know a lot about MRSA because I gave it to myself a billion times. Because when you stick a needle into yourself somewhere, wherever, that is an entry point for bacteria. And if you get yourself near a hospital and you're stupid enough to shoot up in a hospital like I was, where MRSA hangs out because that's where all the super bacteria hang out, that's how I got myself MRSA. And I had to realize, there's one solution to this MRSA problem, and it's stop shoving needles in myself. And I had to tell this guy, I won't say his name or anything, had to tell this guy, look, you can live. He was gonna die of it. I could tell. I could see it. And there were angels keeping him alive, because I looked at him and I told him, look, you're one of us. You know what these things are, but you don't know who you are. You are one of us. You're one of us. That's why you're being kept alive. That's what he understood the law of attraction. He understood everything. And I said, you created me into your reality because you don't want to die. I ended up taking this guy back to this very apartment and draining his abscesses to the best of my ability because the hospitals wouldn't do it. They just didn't care. And it's because the hospitals, hospice, practitioners, and doctors check the synopsis, all-seeing eye, watching skeleton key, the number 13, the letter B, in connection with second is number 3, which is sight, the seeing is sight, Illuminati, interdimensional, clairvoyant with human eyes. It's a conspiracy theory. I actually watched at Stanford as I went there with that guy, and I'm thinking, excuse me, you better treat this guy well because I'm with him, but they treated him like shit. And then they tried to treat me like shit. And I thought to myself, but I've been here at Stanford's emergency room before. I'm talking about Stanford, the famous place. Stanford, the school, famous one. And when I went there when they were trying to assassinate me and everything, they did the same thing to me that they were doing to him. And I suddenly understood why he was acting all jumpy and everything, and why he wouldn't look in their eyes and things like that. And I thought, oh my God, if only I could somehow help that kid. But so a lot of us that so I'm 27. A lot of us that are going to be between the 24 to 30 something, age range. All of us in the, 80s. Who ended up with the different, drug issues. that is something that the other side is banking on. See, they're thinking that, okay, well, if we can't manage to push them to act in certain ways, at least we can count on addict behavior. But, trick, if you elevate your frequency to a certain point, you suddenly stop exhibiting addict-like behavior, and you begin to exhibit more along the lines of dependent behavior. Then you start to exhibit behavior that is that of not really even using the substance if you can completely avoid it. Or for people may or may not know this, depending on who's watching about me, but I am basically the pharmaceutical whiz kid of painless opiate withdrawal, of every method known to man to do that with. And so I know basically how very much how to do that. It's something that people think that they can threaten me with. People think that they can threaten me with being in withdrawal, and I think to myself, wow, you guys don't even know. Even if I didn't even have anything to help me, the amount that I take right now is so low that it's like a comparison in severity of the level of pain that one experiences. It's not even comparable. The level of pain experienced heroin compared to this amount of morphine, which is like 30 milligrams twice a day, which is considered, your low mid type range dose. Morphine comes in 5, 10, 15, 30, 60, 100, 10, 200, I think. So I know that it's not considered actually very much among the chronic pain community. But one thing I am going to have to do is figure out what to do about the chronic pain, because I do experience a degree of chronic pain, but I know that that's also exacerbated by HARP. It's also a little bit exacerbated by a bunch of people hexing my Lyme disease tinctures. Yeah, I have these tinctures that are $100 a bottle, and I had 7 of them, okay? $100 a bottle, and 7 of them, which my mom bought, because she doesn't give me any of the money. I don't actually have any of the money. I'm basically completely dirt broke. Dirt poor, broke. Yeah, trying to figure out how to eat every day. And she hexed them, meaning what they will do is place this kind of bizarre water type. It's a water-based curse, or somehow it's putting fire into the water, something. They do something weird, something elemental, which causes the liquid to become clouded up with some kind of weird substance that if you drink it, it poisons you. And the reptilians, they can actually consume it, whatever the heck it is. They can consume it, and they can still manage to filter it out. But when I would see it, sometimes I would end up drinking it, then become really sick, and I would have to get told, Krista, do not fall for the trap. Stop consuming the anything that looks like it's been messed around with. Anytime you see your water looks like it's been messed with, anything, the slightest doubt, throw it out. And actually that rhymes. If there's the slightest doubt, throw it out. But so, with our battle, which isn't even a battle, all we're doing is trying to promote light in darkness, and for that reason, people having a hard time with the thing. With our battle fatigue, it is normal to become rageful and angry at what is going on, especially if you're an indigo, because that's how indigos are. That's what we're for. we're for screaming, because if nobody set up a protest and started screaming about the whole thing, nothing would change. That's why we're here. But the propagation repeatedly, Cryon kept kind of telling me this because he's an indigo. Too, he loves indigos for this reason, that we put forth so much oomph, so much force, that we get that same force pushed back at us, and that same anger at the system or rage can end up destroying us. So what they were telling me, I was really shocked to realize that, oh, you mean I'm one of the few people that's kept their head on straight, as I'm calling it, keeping your head on straight, as in you still have control of your mind for the most part. You know who you are. You understand what your name is on this planet. You know whatever name you probably have on whatever other planet you were probably from. You understand that you had past lives, things like that, and that you understand that you're a human, not a lizard, or that you understand that having sex with Satan astrally is a bad thing. Things like that. They were telling me that among all of these different things that were happening, I was one of the few 80s indigos that actually made it through and made it out. And because of that, they were saying, look, you're one of our obviously very important people. You made it. You made it out. And then someone said, well, of course she would have done it because it's her. Apparently I do something very well up there, or I create simulations very intricately so that it's well known or something in a certain area of the ship. So someone saying, of course she would do it, it's her. I thought, oh, well, or of course she would do it, it's her avatar. Someone kind of said it's kind of like the idea of like Avatar, but a little bit different. So with our anger over the whole thing, what I've found, as this is going to close, I know, at 1 hour, what I've found, and unsuccessfully short, very not short, sorry, what I've found is that what has stopped them has ultimately been my tears at how they don't understand. Like the statement that the Arcturians made, which I read, which was, if your mother cannot tell you, I love you, then we tell you, we love you. Because of how they were saying that the way they're raised, apparently, their mothers don't love them somehow, or their mothers act pretty much evil, which causes the children to end up acting pretty much evil, and they feel completely unloved by their mothers entirely, and it is that. It's that degree of their compassion, almost as if it causes the rippling through time, almost as if that causes time itself to stop. Even though we can say time is an illusion or a construct for our learning purposes, but during the different times where like the first time that they really tried to assassinate me, or or when we actually did the intercept for the would have been New York bombing, or Atlantic Ocean, New York bombing, I each time I was crying to them at the Ashtar Command, saying they can't come with us. They're not going to come with us. They can't come with us. Like crying, I was crying that they didn't want to come with us, that they didn't understand, that they didn't want to ascend. And it was something about taking the anger and then it transmuting by itself into this kind of compassion and love appeared to be what would have the greatest impact. And what I remember, even though my memory is so hazy during that, because the reptilians attempt to wipe your memory of these things, Ashtar said, I know they can't come with us. I know. I know they can't come with us. I know. But I didn't know anything about reptilians. I had no experience with those creatures. I really did not understand how sadistic and how their depravity appeared to know no bounds, and how the Greys were practically either the same or worse. And so ultimately, even though we get angry, we start screaming, we start cursing, we start flipping people off. At least I do all that. Ultimately, when you realize, well, you know what, you're the very person I'm trying to help, and you can't even see what I'm trying to tell you. You don't even want to hear it. Well, you know what? Goodbye, then. I'm the one staying, and you're the one leaving. Goodbye. Kind of the way that they would view it like that. There's something about that kind of focus that I don't know how to say this creates a rippling through time, but more like the concept of the spiraling, or golden mean concept. The frequency of that feels so strong and heavy. There's also, there's a sadness there that they can't come with us, but that this is how it is. And then this seems like it ties in with the earth as well, because when you attempt to also, you can do this, feel the energy of the earth, because no matter what is happening to you, no matter what other people are doing, or whatever you're, quote, attracting to yourself, like assassination attempts, the earth doesn't want you assassinated. The earth is on your side with the ascension concept. So tap in to the energy of the earth. Imagine yourself as if you were putting down, say, a cord to the center of the earth. Imagine the energy of the earth. I'm a Taurus, so I've always had a very natural kind of earth energy, and always love these dark green or brown or colors like that. And so I make a very good anchor, a frequency anchor for that reason, because I have such a strong earth type energy. But so ultimately, once we can transmute our anger into love, then we're on the right track. But it is admittedly pretty hard for an indigo to do that. And now, as we are, I think as people would say, oh, thank goodness, finally, she's out of time, I will close this discussion with Arcturian philosophy, and we'll think of other ideas for how can we overcome our battle fatigue, or maybe how do we not even battle in the first place? Thank you for watching. This is Arcturian Philosophy.